The reason your prospects are not buying from you is because they don't trust you. The reason they don't trust you is because you're not listening to them. They're telling you everything that you need to know. They're giving you all the information that you need to help them make the best decision for themselves, but you're not listening. You have to ask yourself the question, why am I not listening? And so on this call review, you're going to be watching a closer of mine who sells for an offer that's doing $500,000 a month. We help people get out of debt, or we help them make their money work for them. A lot of people are going to have mindset issues, limitations, fears, anxieties about the future, and it's your job as a leader to help them overcome those things. So if you're new to the channel, I'm Tristan Steckler. If you want to get to the next level, lock in, pay attention to the call review with a pen and paper, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I was on the call. Apologize for the little bit delay, but I didn't think you were coming. And I saw you joined in the room, so we'll just get myself back and sorted.
No problem.
Where are we speaking from? Where are you located?
Massachusetts.
Okay, good stuff. You're not too far from me. I'm in Toronto myself.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Is it cold over there too, or no?
It's miserable today. It's a little sunny, but it's just been cold and rainy, and yeah, it looks
We're
like
lucky with sun. We always have sun in Massachusetts. Just the cold is what the sun makes it better, I guess, is the point. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been lucky for September and October. So far it's been nice, but now it's starting to kick in. I'm like,
I
okay,
know. It's like reality.
that is coming. Let me book a trip. I love it. Awesome. Well, let me properly introduce myself, Mary. And by the way, I'm seeing a hyphen. Is it Mary Phillips?
MP or Mary Phillips. People call I will respond if you call me Mary here, but if people call me outside, I never respond. Like I'm Mary Phillips, my first name, and my people call me MP sometimes, so it's fine. Yeah.
I like that too.
But you can, if you make a mistake, Mary's fine.
I might just mix it up. I like the three options. It's fun. That's
Yeah.
cool. Amazing. Well, let me properly introduce myself. I know you can read, and my name is on the screen, but my name is Sam, and I'm partners with Brendan here at Budget Dog. I'm our strategy director, amongst some other hats that I wear on our team here. And so the focus of our conversation today, just obviously I have some notes, but I want to get a better understanding of your situation. Just to be clear, if we can help actually speed up your timeline toward your goals, what I find works best is just
do you mind if I use AI companion just to help?
Go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
please.
ask you and you can approve it.
Yep,
Yeah.
go for it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So what I'm gonna say is what I find works best for these calls is if we just have super open, honest, and transparent conversation. And obviously I'll do that myself. For whatever reason, if I feel like we can help you, I will, of course, I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. But if I feel we can help you, I'll show you how we would do that inside the mentorship, and then we can talk about what that would look like to get started. Okay. And by the way, I want to be sensitive of time, and we're a little bit late getting started here. We were slotted for about 45 minutes. Sometimes it goes to the top of the hour. How are you doing for time?
I'm good. Yeah.
Good. Okay, sweet. Cool. So let's start here.
10 out of 10 so far. 10 out of 10. Very confident, very in control, authoritative. This is where we're going. I love it. It's really, really good.
How long have you been following Brendan for?
I don't know. I discovered it randomly. It just popped up on my Instagram.
Okay.
I'll say maybe a year, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not a big social media person, but I go in once in a while for athletic stuff, and then it popped up one day. So I guess I know what happened. I follow Dave Ramsey. I've always followed him outside here. I have his books and stuff. But because of that, it probably popped up because they're all finance people. Yeah.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah, I didn't notice in the notes that you're using the Ramsey app.
Yeah. I just started using it, this year.
So I guess you've been reading books from Dave, following us for a year. What prompted you to book a meeting with us to see if you could get some outside help with your finances?
Love it, dude. This is really good.
The reason I did the Ramsey, which they have an app, budget stuff that you use, but I felt like years ago when I was very good with my finances, when I had nothing, I was very good. It's so funny when you have nothing, you're good. When you have something, then everything gets so comprehensive. And I had a spreadsheet I created myself, and I was fine navigating it. But now, I have all these stock options and all this stuff, and I'm just so overwhelmed right now. Okay. And also, I've stepped back in my finance tracking just because I have family I've been taking care of all my life, pretty much. But as each of them are settling down all over the world, I'm Nigerian American, so obviously I have family. I have a family in Canada. I have one in England.
Okay. This is gonna sound racist. It's not. But anyone that I've ever had a conversation with that's from a country like Nigeria, or a country like Africa, Nigeria specifically, there's a lot of poverty mentality around money, and very holding money with a white fist. Very worried that they're gonna step into the wrong business model, etc. So just be aware of that. A lot of risk averse, got to make sure that I'm making the right decision. All those things will typically come up.
That's the Black community in a whole, brother.
Yeah.
It's just trust, all the trust and all that stuff comes up. Fear not having.
Typically with Indian avatars, they're incredibly analytical.
Yeah.
And yeah, and very tight-fisted, but they're also highly skeptical.
Yeah.
Ironic. They're worried about scamming.
Now settled, but I still kind of help them. My mom lives with me and my dad doesn't. So my dad and my mom, they meet up later. But my point though is that
Family's always going to be very important for this type of person, and specifically being able to provide a better life for their future family than they receive themselves. Okay, because it's usually like immigrated from another part of the world to the US. Like they took the risk themselves and they kind of like live under that umbrella. But even the parents, it was like very, very hard for them. So there's always like the world is against us, almost. No one cares. We don't know anybody. Isolation, right? So just be aware of those things.
I take care of my mom as a dependent, right? So that's something. And she just got us the car, the permanent residence last year. So it's just been the second year. And so I've been off track with my finances. And right now I just leave to get by. I mean, of course I have like, I created a mutual fund when I saw it on Brandon asking us to do something in Fidelity. It's going to take 5 minutes. So I did that.
Cool.
So I have something going there, but I'm pretty sure I don't have good savings. I don't have, I'm going to reduce my monthly payment. I think I gave family up to 1,500 or 2,000. I don't know yet. It's just off. They just asked me, can you send me this? So I've been doing that. My mom is away for 3 months. So I thought this was a good time for me to at least figure out what I can do so that when she comes, I'm a little bit more settled and she's going to be technically the only one I'm going to take care of. So it's less stressful. So I wanted to make sure I put my life in order.
Okay, so when my mom is around, it's very stressful, is what you just said. And her mother is dependent on her financially. I'd be curious to know if this woman has kids of her own, husband of her own. Nothing. So it's just them two. So definitely like the world's against us
She has a
mentality.
younger brother that she paid for his MBA.
Yeah. Okay, what's the question with someone like this that I've talked about in the past that gets into identity?
A question or is it an analogy that you're talking about, or
Just one question.
why do you feel this is your responsibility?
Close.
Did you
Close.
picture
I think I
yourself
know it.
this, or
Do
does
you
it
know it,
really?
Carrie?
Why bear all of that weight?
Why bear
Oh,
all that
very good.
responsibility? Excellent job, guys.
Okay.
We got it together eventually. That's the question we want to ask, though. Great job.
Before I start getting more disorder in my life. That's all.
Makes sense. And you mentioned being
Because the reason we asked that question is she's going to give us a reference point, which is going to give us an opportunity to get leverage. My dad, my mom saw this, saw that. Because when we talk about like measuring up to who she wants to be as a person, that widens the gap naturally. Because she's not that person yet. Right? That's where questions of like with what we have in place right now, are we able to provide the life that we want for XYZ? It just opens the door to all of these deeper questions that can build urgency in the person, where they're looking in the mirror and they're like, no.
See, the thing that was interesting with this conversation is she has been providing that lifestyle for everybody for her else. Where she gets emotional is when I give the I almost said gas mask, the oxygen mask analogy. And she realized that she's been giving like the last decade of her life to ensuring everyone in her family is cared for, and she's completely not set herself up.
Makes sense.
Overwhelmed. I guess what would you say is the biggest challenge around your finances that you find is overwhelming you?
Right now, I just have so many options of things. Like, for example, I just started a new job about a month ago. And for example, I don't know if I did it right, but they gave us, we have stock options and they'll pay us 74,000 give us 74,000 stock to invest, or is that whatever you call it, ESP, that's what, yeah. And they give us like deadline to quickly enroll. And I did that. One was due today, for example, and another 74 is coming and I have to do that by, I think, February or March. So like, there's a lot that I'm getting now and I'm confused about. Like, I just need, if I can have, let me just make it simple. If I can have a spreadsheet that will have a thoughtful spreadsheet. It could be too much. I don't get overwhelmed with information. if I can have information, I don't care. I can read. That's my hobby anyway, so I don't mind reading. If I can get a good spreadsheet, has all the option type thing I need to go through, that way, when I do my planning, I can update it or customize it to meet what is actually mine. And also, if I can start educating myself on the stock on the market, investment market, like I think stock exchange and all the stuff. I'll be able to understand, I guess, the financial market. I'll be able to understand a little bit. I'll start understanding things. I did start, doing like ChatGPT telling me stuff right now. I actually downloaded Copilot because I bought my mom. I was taking care of my mom and I quickly went to it and I did not return it back because, so I think it will help me to start better budget ahead. So one thing I want to do, as I said, so the first one, as I said, is understanding that, giving me a baseline spreadsheet. The second one is giving me, like helping me, I want to start saving. So I think probably that one will help the saving because if I can see where my expenses are and my cost, I can better save, right? I don't know, you tell me that, but I'm suspecting. And then the third one is I want to have a good retirement, plan. So I guess those are my three areas. And I don't want to be debt at all. So I'm actually tempted to, if I don't want to, get my credit card canceled because it gives me, I still have my college credit card. That's what I still have. Like it gives me this, I guess you have good credit report. I don't think it's necessary. You guys probably don't care about those.
Chris,
Would you consider all that rambling at all, or like good info? I think it's
total
good info.
BS. Total BS.
I was about to ask if should we like stop them at some point.
Well,
or-
the thing that I'm picking up on so far, and this is the first thing, just so you guys are aware, that I look at whenever I open a Fathom, is look at the cuts. So context is important, right? But do you see these big gaps of her just rambling? Do you want to see an example of I know I reference Itai like he's like God. He's not. But I want to show you an example of what it looks like to be in control in these calls. I'm pulling it up on another tab.
Is there
by the
like
way.
so many ticks? Just like
Yeah, you'll see it in a second. Let me show you this. Okay, and these are not like little calls, right? Like these are long calls that he's taking. Look at all the cuts. Look at all the cuts. And all throughout this, these are all different conversations that are being had throughout a sales call. Very, very thorough. That's probably, every time I look at this, I'm like, okay, he's pitching right around here, or he's in some deep portion of his process. I'd imagine he's pitching right here.
Like action steps to follow to the
Yeah, he's pitching. So I can see where you guys are at and how your tempo is on these calls based on the cuts. So when I see this from the get-go, I see you got more ground here, a lot more ground here. I don't know if this is like a consequence where you're challenging your own things. I know this is the pitch, right? So it's just recognizing patterns. But ultimately, what I'm looking for is to take a better lead here where you're more in control on where this conversation goes, because this sets the tempo on how the rest of the conversation is going to be.
Yeah, my so I know we've been talking a lot about just like politely interrupting people. My thought process in the moment was because she was talking about how she's kind of overwhelmed with so many different options. Where I was going with it was I'm going to let her verbalize all of these things so that it's all right there and it's a lot of everything so that I can kind of tie into the fact it's like you want to do a whole lot of stuff here. Like, how do you actually feel about this? This is a lot of stuff you want to tackle. But would you say even still it's better to break those into chunks?
If an overweight person came to you, Sam, and they said, I'm just overwhelmed with all these different diets that I could do, it's a lot simpler of a conversation. Sometimes we overcomplicate it because the lie is that you need to come on this call and I'll give you more information and it'll make you less hesitant and then you'll take the step and you'll sign up. But that's not how the call actually goes. If we just went straight into a pitch, they'd be even more overwhelmed than they were before the call started. So that's why time frames are so important, to really understand where she actually at. Because I don't even know how much she's making. I don't know how much is left over at the end of the month. I don't know how long she's been in this position for. I don't have any of that context. And so the time frames are what give me leverage to ask, like, what for her, she's overwhelmed. She doesn't know what to do. That's fine. That's most people. But just like someone who's overweight, if they don't know what to do and they're overwhelmed, that's where the personal trainer comes in. So the question then becomes like, what kept you from getting the expert help, the step-by-step plan, the accountability that you need to actually figure this out? As it's been multiple years at this point, it just simplifies all this stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
But Current situation and time frames are very important to understand.
Because you always think like it's a way to lure people. But my point is, if I can find an option to just use not debit, but a way that I can just put money somewhere that
And that's also why leveraging, like being a expert prior to the call of like going in and looking at the notes and collecting all the data, you're not always going to have all the ammo that you would need, but being prepared to know where you want to guide the conversation based on the notes you've already received is what puts you in a position where you have control, which is what you want.
the card I can create. I don't know. That would be
Yeah,
like
there's
credit card.
charge cards and things you can use that build your credit without using a credit card.
Okay.
Curious about that though. Like, what is the issue in your mind around using a credit card? Is it that you think that it's inherently evil, or is it that you had a lack of discipline around it in the past that has made you misuse something that's a very powerful tool?
I don't know. I just know that, as I told you, the only background in finance I have, well, I kind of did have an MBA, but I didn't focus on finance. So it's kind of weird. But the Dave Ramsey frowns on it. So I'm not sure if I stack it though. I mean, he does everything cash. I have a mortgage, so
Yeah.
I can't match him. But I'm just saying that's where I got it from. So it's not an ideal. It's not that I have the ideology. I'm just like
From what you've seen from Dave, he's obviously very against that. He thinks you should pay all your debt down to zero before you start investing. You should pay all your credit cards up. You should also live on beans and rice and be miserable to have it.
so I'm not.
Do you agree with those things, or are you maybe open to a different way of thinking? So
No,
you
I
have-
actually don't have a way of thinking. I just thought about it. I'm talking to
yeah,
somebody.
but I mean, like, are you open to a different way of thinking outside of Dave and his?
Oh, of course, that's why I have this session, because I wanted somebody that's actually financial, because he doesn't tell you about what does he invest in. And I know he's very, very almost a billionaire. People say he's a billionaire. It doesn't matter. My point is, it's easier said than done to do everything cash. And then when I wanted to get a house, I said,
The truth is, it's just way harder to do the things that you want to do, and it's way less effective, and it takes you way longer to get to where you want to go. If you do that.
Exactly.
That's like basically the concept is, and it's not to defame Dave, he's not
No,
here
I know.
himself, right? But he would have you playing the mathematics game of 1 + 1 = 2, and actually we need to be playing 1 + 1 = 3, so we can use growth
Absolutely.
and make
Yeah.
our life a lot simpler, right? Okay, so
I agree. I've read a lot of Brendan's posts to know that how you trick the system.
She's been following him for a year. She's read a lot of his posts. This is why time frames and leverage are so important. Because if you really understand where she's at, then the logical question becomes what?
How did it take you this long to get on a call?
Exactly. What took you so long? What prevented you from reaching out sooner? Objection.
And
Yeah.
the rich people, I guess, rich people.
Because guys, there's no point in taking longer than you need to. She gives you the objection. You could overcome the objection. You get her to see how that limitation has cost her in her own life, and then you can just pitch if you do it the right way. Now, I'll never ridicule someone who's taking their time in their process and being thorough. That's fine with me. But just realize you don't need to sit and wait to handle the objection. You can just do it the second it comes up.
Live the 1%. Sorry,
Because she's saying, like, I've been looking at all of his content. Why would someone just sit on the sidelines and just go through a bunch of content for over a year and never reach out?
Objection.
Fear. Let me just keep seeing what this guy's about. Like, he needs to convince me. Need more information about him. I don't trust him yet. Okay. But then you're on the sidelines for 12 months and the fear is still there. And you're still check to check.
they consider all of us rich, but what I mean is 1% live their lives.
Yeah. I'm curious about something
Mhm.
because you mentioned I want to I want to have all the information in front of me so I can make decisions and then educate myself so that I can
Not educate myself.
You did
Not
say
educate. Maybe I used the wrong word. It's not. Yeah, educate. That's a very bad.
you want to gain knowledge. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm trying to do is, I don't know if you guys tailor things to each specific person, but if you can't, what you could do to help me. I guess I'm trying to say that if you don't customize things for people,
Yeah.
I will need help. What I will need help with is if you can give me like your big spreadsheet that has all the options that are available.
Give me, like, reassure me I'm in the right place, is what she's saying. Give me certainty.
Like, stock options, investment, retirement. If you don't tailor, I don't know what you
Yeah, everything we do is custom. Everyone that
okay,
we
then
work
I'm
with,
good.
build
Then
it.
that's all I need
Simple.
help with.
No going on a big elaborate, yeah, this is what we do and how it works, and these are all the students we work with, and blah, 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 blah. Just one liner. Everything's customized. That's why we do the call. Now, you mentioned earlier you've been following us for 12 months and you've been looking at all the content. What took you so long to reach out, if I can ask? Only conversation that matters.
Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
trying to make sure you help me before you leave me. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So our focus would be this, right? just to give you a brief overview. Our focus is if this makes sense.
Okay. No need for this.
Yeah.
This goes in through one ear and out the other. She may hear one thing she likes. She may hear one thing she doesn't like. No point.
Tristan,
So, yes.
in your experience, man, the more we allow her to talk, quote unquote, ramble, I guess in their mind, they feel like they've talked a lot. Now they want to just hear about the program.
Mm-hmm.
They talk so much. If we cut them off early, hey, listen, we're not gonna do all that shit. Because now they're tired of talking. Now they want to listen. Tell me about your program now. I thought I talked for 10 minutes straight.
Well, the
Hey,
second we say, so what we do is X, what we're saying is we can help you. Then they in turn can say, Sam, that's exactly what I'm looking for. How much does it cost? And then you're going to be like, oh, not even sure we can help you yet. Like, blah, blah, blah. You lose all frame. So you don't have to explain how it works and the structure, none of that stuff. And anyone asking for it up front without you being able to go through your process is just operating in insecurity where they're afraid that you're going to take advantage of them. And that says way more about them than it does about you.
Right? We have you got a new job a month ago. You mentioned debt. Is it just the 5K on the credit card? Aside from the mortgage, is there anything else?
I actually still have student loan, but I don't know how much it is. I do. I don't
Even
look
even
at
a rough idea if you have. It doesn't have to
I
be on.
actually don't look at it because it's auto.
Do you see how she doesn't give you the rough number up front? What does that say about her?
Analytical overthinker.
Yes. Exact answer. That's why they go on the tangents. Got to be perfect. And then she looks at you and she goes, there may be something better out there for me. It's not exactly what I was looking for.
More research, is that the type of objections to you?
Well, they just operate in a world where they think that there's a perfect way to go about being a person and living and acting and investing and all of that stuff, but it doesn't exist. So the simplest form of reframe that everyone needs to understand is like, there's one type of person that you're going to get on calls with that if they were to start creating content like Brennan, they would just pull their phone out and they just hit record and they post it. Terrible editing, no real flow, but they're just like getting the content out there. They're just action takers, right? And then we have people like me. I mean, you guys see the setup. It took me a long time to get into content creation, like years, where I'd pick up the phone and I'd hit record and I'd be like, oh, that sucks. It's not good. Delete. I'll do it later. Or I want to stand out. Like I got to have the right equipment and the camera and the light and the mic and the whole setup and all that stuff. And weeks turn into months, turn into years, no progress. But there was that other guy who just picked up his phone and hit record. So you got to know who you're talking to. You got to be able to call it out because it's going to show up one-on-one at the end of the call. And we don't want to be handling that and overcoming that when the price is on the table. Ever. We're at a severe disadvantage if that's what's happening.
Auto paid. Let me look. Actually, I've never thought about it. Because I just paid extra on it, and I always think, give me a second, I have to look.
I would think with the MBA that it's probably not $20, right? I would think that it's probably a
No,
fair.
actually, I have it in the Ramsey thing, so let me go there.
Yeah.
It's in there, every dollar thing. It has my monthly. Actually, yeah, that was one thing I had to do. So let's see. Okay. So student loan. What is it called? No, national grade. Loans, right? It should be under loans. I have the exact amount. Ed Financial. Okay.
Dude, when they do this, bro, hey, can I ask you a more personal question? Like, would you say you're more like analytical, more like data driven, kind of like a little risk averse as well? Like, if you were honest? She says no. I'd be like, well, I do thousands of these calls. Rarely do people give me like exact numbers on things. Would you consider yourself to be more of an overthinker? Yes. Right into that conversation. Is that also what's kind of led you to take in a while to reach out to us because you wanted to make sure that you were committing to the right thing? You wanted to make sure you were making the right decision? You're just reading it like a book at that point. That's what builds trust.
Let's see. Oh, it's 32,000. It's a lot. Yeah, 32.
Gosh, thought it was gonna be like 6 or 7.
And then how
It's
much is
kind of
left
big
on
though.
the mortgage?
Mortgage. What is mortgage? Okay, I can go to my account. Let's just see.
Once again, specific number.
Mortgage. What is mortgage? What did I name it?
So that's the objection right there.
Mortgage. Okay. So I
You have
have
an active 401k I'm seeing here with Fidelity.
correct, and I also my previous job used Empower Retirement, and I have money there too.
Okay. Can you break those accounts down for me?
All right, so let me log in. I have all of them in one bucket on my phone, so I'll just click on the finally investing. Are in the last 6 years. So
Just so you know, Sam, like this is stuff from the setting side we need to know before we're on the sales call because this doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. You can pull it into the conversation. Hey, so Jake said, based on y'all's conversation, this is where you're at. And then you ask specific questions about her situation to drive urgency. Right. But sitting here and like having her go through all the accounts and stuff is just time that could have been spent around building the urgency and getting her to cry like you did, which is going to collapse the call time where it's a lot shorter. And you spend all the time on the areas that are the most important, pouring the gasoline and pulling the matches out.
the ones I just mentioned are all in the last 6 years. I told me to enroll because it's 70,000 now. It was 74 as of just earlier this week. It's a pharmaceutical company, so
If you want to just get straight into pain, you would just pain point, $30,000 of debt, a $200,000 mortgage, blah, 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 blah. When you sit down and you look at those numbers, like, how does that sit with you? What comes up in your mind when you see that? The fact that you've been here for time frame. How does that sit with you? Then we're immediately into a pain conversation. How does that affect those closest to you?
okay.
So
That's what they asked me about the ESPP purchase. Like, and I didn't know I recorded it, so I can check it.
but now
think
you
it's
feel you're at a spot where they're kind of more self-sufficient and you can focus on,
exactly. I think I recorded it, so I can check it what they mean.
yeah,
by it,
it'd probably be best to reference back to that just because I don't know the specifics of the plan.
of course. Okay,
Um,
that's
so,
it.
so perfect. I appreciate you breaking that down for me. You mentioned earlier, you mentioned feeling overwhelmed.
Mhm.
I'm curious,
Nice. That's a good way to circle back.
how long have you been, or I guess maybe not even how long, what specifically is overwhelming you?
Nice. Much better question. How long is a time frame transition question?
Yeah, I started saying, I was like, I'm transitioning from what I'm trying to do right now. I need to stop.
Good job. Good job.
About your finances and where
Much better question.
you'd like to see yourself.
Because that's going to get a completely different answer. She would have just given you a time frame, and then you're like, duh, what do I ask now? So now you're going deeper.
I don't think per se that it's a specific. It's just that
Dude, the reason she's struggling so bad to go there with you is because you just took her from emotion to logic. Now you're trying to shove her back into emotion. So just realize that.
trauma.
You see, it's like the brain's like short circuiting.
So her mind's probably still trying to run through numbers in her head.
Yes. Because she already told you that the numbers, even though she said it doesn't overwhelm her, I can tell that it does. Because we never want them to feel like the current situation that they're in and where they want to be, it's like insurmountable. Otherwise, they start feeling discouraged and overwhelmed, like they've just got way too much on their plate to commit. And I don't know about you, but I would never commit to spending $6,000 in a mental space of feeling defeated and overwhelmed and like the mountain I'm trying to climb, I'll never do it ever. It's just not going to happen. So just be aware of that. I don't want to go from emotion to logic to emotion. I just want to stay in emotion and use the logic to twist the knife on the emotion.
My life working. I've been taking care of my rest of my family all over the world, and because everybody was getting through moving from Nigeria to Canada, my sister's in Winnipeg, my brother's in England, and I paid for his whole. He has a PhD. I paid for his whole housing because he got scholarship. So it's been. I just didn't want to touch my
Not normal. to do that. That is not an everyday thing to do. So this is where my curiosity is piqued. And I want her to understand. We're having a conversation, right? She just brought in the fact that she's paying for all these other people's expenses, which is not her responsibility necessarily. Most people wouldn't do that. So I'm like, wait, hold on. You paid for your brother's education? How much was that? Then we would say something like, now this is starting to make a lot more sense. Why would I say that?
Probably get her to lean in and asking like, what do you mean by that? Or like, can you help me understand? Kind of respect where she's looking to you for advice.
Yeah. And I'm not here to shame you for the situation that you find yourself in.
Yeah.
What you're doing is admirable.
Yeah, I guess it's in a way it's going to translate to them, but like, oh, they see me, they understand. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
You're in the right place. We can help. We deal with your situation all the time. We want to work with people like you who are courageous.
When we ask that, it makes them feel we understand.
Yes. We empathize with their situation. We care. We want to understand like what it's like to be someone like you.
And if we understand we're not regular salespeople that just want to pitch and
Exactly. People want to talk about themselves. Right. But this is once again, to Sam's point, it's the whole planes going down situation. Planes going down, oxygen mask drops down, and she's putting it on other people. And I want to understand why. Why? Is she fearful that if she doesn't step up and do it, no one will? And then what happens then? Did she experience something similar when she was growing up? Like that drive to help other people comes from somewhere. She's very selfless. Right? But typically, when selfless people are not grounded enough in who they are and what they stand for, they get taken advantage of.
Finances because I was just too exhausted to focus because
Yeah, now I'm exhausted. Exhausted, taken advantage of, spent, given everything that I have. So the reason I say that is we would never want to like challenge her on her mindset and her fear in the sense of like, why have you not done more? Because she has done a lot for herself and for her family. So it's more so just understanding like what is that obstacle that's in the way? What is that for you? Because I want to help you overcome that because we're on the same team. We're on the same team. And for her, it's she just lacks belief in herself. And I don't know where that comes from, but it's evident to me. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
I felt like the pay, everything I was paying was just too much, right? So I wanted to get to the point where they will be a little bit self-sufficient when I can get, I know I'm behind in everything, but I
Now
think
you
it's
feel you're at a spot where they're kind of more self-sufficient and you can focus on.
exactly. I think I felt that last month for the first time in my life. Like I just felt like, okay, I think everybody seems to be fine. And even though my mom lives with me, I think I'm fine. I think my mom can take care of another person. And my dad comes. So the only thing I spend that is not mainly for me. Of course, I pay my tithes, but which is 10% of my income.
Yep.
But my parents, I buy their ticket. My mom is full time with me. Even the ticket she went to England, I gave her. I kind of give her some allowance, like so that she doesn't depend on people yet. So she's gone for 3 months, so she has enough for herself. My mom doesn't spend anything. My brother's gonna provide food, so it's just if she needs something, she can go get it with a. I gave her I gave her a copy of my credit card, and she barely spends $10 out of it, so she doesn't use it. But my point is, she is the only dependence I have,
Yeah.
and I think I'm at a point where I can now focus on myself, and I want to understand how to do that. Like I guess I feel like guidance is helpful rather than me figuring it out. And I felt like trying to figure it out was so overwhelming. Like I was like,
Right.
should I just start saving or should I, what should I do?
Because it seems like you've been reading books, downloading apps, following us for a year, doing a lot of research, right? And oftentimes, and I mean this with all due respect, a lot of people will come to us and be like, oh man, like, I'm gathering information, I'm looking for all of this. And it can feel like when we're gathering information and we're in that research phase, it can feel like we're making progress. But the truth is, We're making progress in our mind, not in reality. And then we get so much information where we're paralyzed by analysis.
That's where like layering it with love of like, I see you. And I couldn't begin to imagine what it's like to be you in the sense that you're taking on all this responsibility and providing for all these people that you don't have to. Like, I really admire that. You're very courageous for doing that. And I don't know if you hear it often, but I'm proud of you. You say something like that, dude, not in a manipulative way, in a I hear you and I empathize with you and I care about you way. I trust you. Now everything that you're saying lands. It's like, hey, these are all the things that you're doing great, but I see a blind spot. Very collaborative. Very collaborative. Wow. Didn't think about it that way. You're right. I'm wrong. Here's my credit card.
And then we're fearful to make the wrong decision because we have way too many competing
Correct.
ideas.
That's where I am actually. You're very accurate on point.
And I guess what makes you feel like this would be the right time for yourself to shift out of that phase you've been in?
What is the answer to that question based on what she's told us?
She's exhausted.
No. She said it.
The fact that she doesn't have to like fully support her brother anymore. He's now working
Exactly.
self-sufficient. And so now she only has her mom as her dependent. She can actually do this.
That's exactly correct. Okay, so the only reason I call it out is because she's told you that. And I never want to give them the opportunity to take the mic and say, like I said earlier, because when they say that, what they're actually communicating is, I don't trust you because you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. There's a disconnect.
And actually get some specific help so you can put a real plan in place.
Because my family's self-sufficient, I think. Like
You see it?
Yeah.
She told you already.
my siblings, I guess, is the right way to say it. I mean, I'll still need to do little things like abroad flight, international flights twice a year.
So where I would go to get deeper into that conversation is the plane's going down. That's why asking like, why bear all that responsibility goes hand in hand with that analogy, because I got to reframe that. Because she can't always be the knight in shining armor for all of her family and be stressed out and worried about the future and have no plan, like she's going to bury herself. So I'm trying to help her. I have her best interest in mind by giving her this tough love.
But
Even much more reason for you to have a plan so we can plan for
exactly,
Right.
exactly. So I think that's what I felt like. Okay, I can breathe. To be honest, that's how I felt. Like,
If you're ever in a conversation like this in the future, you are one step away from breaking her. I see the emotion on her face and in her voice. Like she's right there. She's exhausted and she's been slaving away for all these other people. And she's probably not getting a lot of validation from other people. She's not probably getting a lot of other people pouring back into her. Cup's empty at this point. So if that is prolonged, like that's where the nervous breakdowns happen. Because it sounds like she's the leader of a lot of people within her family. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of people who are willing to lead her, help her, provide for her. She's on her own.
now I'm breathing. Can I just focus now on myself? So I think that's what I feel. I feel like I'm ready to just, and I'm ready to listen, Joe. I think that's the point, because I'm ready to, what is the guide? Like, guide me. How do I do this? I'm patient enough. I guess I'm ready to be patient is the right word. To be patient to listen.
Are you open to me sharing a perspective on this?
Of course. Yeah.
What's he gonna say?
So you just mentioned traveling, right? So obviously I know we've all been in airplanes before, right? You know, when you get on the airplane, the stewardesses start explaining how the thing's gonna work. Hey, we're gonna bring by snacks and drinks and da-da-da.
Mhm.
Hey, these are the
I love this.
emergency doors.
Mhm.
You sitting here, you sitting there, you're responsible for ripping them off the wall if we need to jump out of this thing, right? And then typically they explain the oxygen masks.
Mhm.
Right? Do you recall, maybe you do or don't, but do you recall how they explain to go about using those masks?
Yeah.
Way to bring her into it, bro. top level reframe is when you include the prospect in the process of being reframed. Because then it actually has to land. Because if there's any disconnect, then you just fix it in the moment. It's really good.
Yeah,
What do they say?
yourself first before you cover yourself, you know, tighten it and then help the next.
Okay. When she knows where you're headed, shut up and let it sit in and just look at her. And then she's going to do something like, I know. Probably laugh it off. You're right. But being able to hold that silence will do much more than you lecturing her and blah, 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 blah. So the next time you're in this situation where they already know where you're headed, they're very aware. You're talking to an intelligent person. I would just be quiet and I would just look at her. Let it sit in. And then you could ask the question of, why bear all that responsibility yourself? Because you didn't have to.
Next person. Yeah.
And why is that important in that specific like setting?
So you have the capacity to help someone because you can be capacitated, right? Yeah.
And so when we look at your situation where number one, I want to just say, I honor you
Nice.
for being the woman that you are for.
When do you think is the last time she heard someone say that to her?
Maybe never. Very rarely, for sure.
Expected in her community. You don't want you to do well to give back. So it's probably they're being actually appreciated for it. Because in the Nigerian, they're expected to give back.
Yeah.
So when somebody does that, it's probably refreshing to hear.
Yeah. Chris?
I've done this for a long time now. I've seen Itai do it on a call. I wanted your thought on it. When you catch them realizing where you're going with it, I like stop and I'm like, where am I going with this? And then like they explain it, but I get a negative response to that when it's a type A person.
Yeah, you usually will. The negative response doesn't have anything to do with what you are doing or what you're saying being wrong. It's just them being insecure.
So do you thumbs up the where am I going with this after a
Yeah.
call? Yeah.
Yeah. Then they'll be like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, what do you know?
Because I want to make sure they know, yeah.
Yeah, what do you know? Where am I going?
For showing up and supporting your family in the way that you have.
Mhm.
When they haven't been self-sufficient, for you to be the one that obviously maybe they've done things to help you get into the position you are, but you make great money and now you're able to turn around and in turn care for your family. I honor you for doing that. But the caveat is, it seems as if for probably quite a few years now, you've been putting oxygen masks on other people and failing to do that for yourself. And now you're at a point where you're saying, okay,
Perfect analogy. Could not have been better.
I haven't been taking in that oxygen. I'm making great money. I don't really have the savings to show for it. I should probably be a lot farther than I am right now. And I'm kind of grasping for air and it's overwhelming. Is that a fair assessment?
Yep.
Dude. Next level.
So if we don't
For the first time she feels seen. That's why she closed.
make a real change around doing this and we keep going in that same direction,
Sorry.
because things are going to happen. And
Dude. That's why. That's why she cried. Do you see it? So you're talking to a woman who's giving everything to her family every single day, going above and beyond, doing what's not been asked of her, well above that, and no one sees it. And even if they say thank you, it's not enough. So someone finally cared enough to call it out. That's like 10 out of 10. Perfect analogy, perfect moment. Now she feels seen, heard, understood, and she opens up. That's how that works. Excellent, excellent, excellent job. Excellent job.
stuff is going to come up with the family, right?
I would be quiet. Let her
I
feel
didn't.
the
I hadn't actually
emotions.
realized that she was crying until she turned her camera off.
Got it. Okay.
Otherwise, I would have just shut up.
Yeah. The second I pick up on the emotion, I stop and I let her sit in it. And I'm like, what's coming up for you?
Yeah.
Where does that lead us moving forward if we keep operating like this?
Nowhere.
Mary, by the way, I don't know if you know this. I lost your camera. I lost you on our call.
No, I'm here. I'm just crying, so I wanted to.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll be right
Hey,
back.
you don't ever need to apologize. And by all means, if you want to keep your camera off, you can. But there's no
Just a little
judgment.
bit.
This
Yeah,
is a
a
safe
little
space
bit.
for us to have this conversation. That's why we're here.
When was the last time you had a conversation like this with someone else?
Hmm.
Never. How does this conversation make you feel? And where I'm heading with this is, if you had conversations like this on a daily basis over the last 12 months, what kind of results would you have gotten, you feel?
Hmm.
Where would you be?
Just a little bit. For a few seconds, I'm just gonna gather myself.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Don't apologize. We're here to have this conversation. And I know it's emotional. I know it's hard. But I love you too much to not have this conversation.
Good.
Because if it's having that emotional response, it means it has real weight to it. So what is triggering that
Yes. Where does the emotion come from?
response for you? What's going on inside of your mind right now?
It's just the analogy. The analogy of
Bro, you really struck her hard, man. So this is the power of analogies. And a step up above an analogy is you tell your story to the person about how you've been through the exact same things that she's been through. That's tactical vulnerability, where you're leading with the vulnerability. You're creating room for her where she can feel safe to do the same. That's how that works.
the analogy of the airplane. I just didn't think about it that way for some reason. I just wanted to.
I've never thought about it that way. This is feedback in action leading to the outcome.
Help my family, and because it was hard for all of them. And I mean, I don't think I would have done it differently even if I knew this, but because everybody was like, I mean, I know where they came from. I was born here, but I was raised there, so I know how hard it was to get out. And so I felt like that was my only option, which I think it was at that time. But I should have probably cared for both, like figure out how to do both in the.
Why would that be important to do it that way though? Right? If that is an option.
Huh?
Why do you think it would be important to do it that way where you are caring for yourself and also caring for others?
Because if I wait, their life will have to wait, and I don't think they should wait either. So, so maybe
But I mean, why would it be important? I'm not talking about not helping them. I think you should. I 100% agree with you. I think you always should have been doing that, right? But why would it be important for you to be putting that oxygen mask on for yourself for, during, and up to this point while helping them?
Why is it important to do both? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That I'm also on a track, because I was never on a track, and they had a track, and I wanted to make sure they have a track. But I felt like I can survive here rather than them. Like, so I felt like they needed to survive too, while I'm just still hanging on, but I'm not suffering, like I'm not suffering. I don't want them to suffer. If I can get to the same level, then I can move on, but getting them there was my goal.
Yeah.
What's an example of an analogy that you could use right now to combat what you just said? Think marriage. I'm not suffering. It's not that bad. It's okay.
When one
Actually,
person knows they need to get a divorce, but they just sit in it.
Yeah. So what does that say about someone when their husband is cheating on them or disrespects them or doesn't provide for them and they rationalize it and they just sit in it? What does that say about that person?
lack of self-worth.
Lack of self-worth. Okay, and it's disguised behind like this is my responsibility. I want to provide for them, but that's not her responsibility. Actually, it's not. That's her parents' responsibility to provide for the kids. It's admirable, but at what cost? Eventually, we have to look in the mirror and we have to ask ourselves, like, why do we not value ourselves enough to climb out of this hole? In fact, where does that lack of self-worth come from? Because it comes from somewhere. It comes from somewhere. Okay, we got 2 minutes. Excellent call, Sam. Best call on the team so far, taking the feedback, and you weren't perfect, but that's the best call that I've watched. And just realize that personality, it's very easy to go down that path with them because she doesn't believe in herself and she is overwhelmed and she is honest. Super easy. It's going to be a lot more difficult depending on the personality, but with that type of personality, fantastic job. Who's
I
got takeaways?
I like the using the analogy and then bringing it into like relating to them, to like your personal story.
yeah.
Could not have been a better analogy to use. It was perfect. She literally said, I've never thought about it that way. And when you said the analogy, broke her.
Mhm. And then, I think right after you said the analogy, you also said, you showed her appreciation. And that was big. It built a lot of trust in that moment instantly. And then the waterworks came. The analogy, she's thinking about it, you appreciate it, you honor her, and so with from there. Give me the credit card. That was good. That
I
was
like,
standing ovation, bro.
yeah, I like how you took the situation away from her as well, because that's what I was thinking when she first brought up, I had to take care of my family. It's like, well, what if that happens again? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna go back to just focusing on them, or are you gonna put you on your own mask now also? And then why?
Yeah.
Because I'm glad you went there, because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's really good. Way to implement, brother. That's what we like to
you.
see. Good job.
It's helping.
Good job, guys. I got to jump, but grateful for you guys implementing. It's really, really good stuff. Let's finish them all strong. Good luck on your calls, guys. Really, really good job, Sam. Build off of that, bro. Really good job. Later, y'all. Have fun.